Hey everyone, my name is Matt and welcome back to the channel. And today we are talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 5. And I know, this has so far been the best episode. And I think a lot of people are going to feel the same way, and especially after the abysmal episode from last week, this one is by far the best one of the series. They did a lot of good things in this episode that they should have done throughout the series, but this show still has a lot of flaws, and this episode still has a lot of issues, which we will get to in a second. But I want to talk about first all the positives that I liked about this episode, and I wish they should have done throughout the series to make it a better series. But obviously, that opening of the flashback with Anakin and Obi-Wan training on Coruscant, I think that was cool. That was awesome. If you're a prequel fan of any way, seeing that, it can't help but warm your heart, right? And that's what I think should have been scattered throughout this series. We should have seen more flashbacks, regardless of when in the flashbacks, whatever they were. By doing things like this, I think a lot of people and fans are going to overlook the bad things that happen in this episode and love everything because of the little flashbacks, because of those nods to the past. By not doing that, it points out the flaws way more. And that's why I think your episode before this and a lot of others people have issues with. There are still a lot of flaws in this episode, but like I said, I think this episode is going to be highly loved by most people and are going to be able to overlook some of the issues. So the flashbacks were really cool. One cool thing that I liked how they sprinkled it in. I really assumed this was going to be a Obi-Wan Kenobi flashback, and they kind of allude to it being a Vader flashback, which was pretty cool. And that's, again, what this series should have been. It should have been probably going back and forth on Vader and Obi-Wan, and we know that this series isn't really that. They shoehorned Reva's story into this, and it took up a lot of time, which I don't think was necessary. They should have just given her her own show, or given her an actual side character arc, like they did with, say, Tala, Tala. I'll get to that in a minute, but flashbacks were really cool, and I really did enjoy how they made Vader menacing. I think they could have actually made him a little bit too powerful, but that's debatable. I think they did that really well in that sense. They really made him menacing. They really showed off his power. They also did a couple bad things with Vader, but overall, I really enjoyed that, and the episode as a whole was way better. Still major problems, and that's what we're going to get to in a minute. Obviously, this was a very heavy Reva episode, and I, again, am not a fan of this character. I don't think she's a great actress for this role, at least. She's just not doing it for me. It's just not very sincere and believable. The anger and all that stuff, it's very erratic. Nothing against Moses Ingram as a person, but I just think in this role, she's just not really fit for it. I don't know if that's her fault or writing or whatever the case may be, but yeah, we kind of all knew what was going to happen. I think a lot of people called this. We knew that she was going to turn good, and it turns out, obviously, she this whole time has just been trying to get back at Vader. And the way this played out, that Vader finds out that he knew all along that she was a young Padawan and basically wanting revenge. Like, why would Vader make her an Inquisitor if he knew all this stuff? He knew that she was a Padawan, like he knew she was going to betray him. It doesn't make any sense to Vader. And that's where I said, like, they're kind of hurting Vader's character by making him somewhat this dumb. Like, Vader is smarter than this. Also, and I know I'm jumping around, the sort of ending where the face-off with Vader and Reva, which we shouldn't be seeing this. There shouldn't even been a face-off. This should have been quick, done, boom, and she didn't even have a chance. Which, granted, Vader was very powerful and demolished her in this little excursion, I guess. But overall, like, it doesn't make sense that they left her alive. Also, why is it that everybody lives from getting stabbed by a lightsaber anymore? I thought that really bothered me. Like, she should not be alive. I get why the Grand Inquisitor lived. I know people have said he has 2 stomachs, so it makes sense. And I get that. That's fine. But Qui-Gon Jinn got stabbed the same way, and he died. But Reva's not going to die? or Reva is not going to die from this wound, and they allude to that because she finds that little intercom, so you know she's going to play a big role in this last episode. And it's just like, no. As a good side character, which is what she's supposed to be, she should have died. Tala, example. They introduce Tala. You like her character. They explain her backstory. She does what she's supposed to do, and now she's gone. Great. I think it's a little crazy how they turned her into some martyr, of course, because she has to save the day. She's also kind of, Tala's preaching to Obi-Wan still about how he still needs to fight and whatnot. Whatever, those are nitpicks. Overall, I did like Tala's character, and I think that was the perfect example of what a side character should be in a show. She helped push the story along. She didn't overshadow or take away a lot of screen time from Obi-Wan. She did her job and her role, and that was it. So we know that they know how to write an actual side character. Reva is more of a main character. Reva is definitely a main character in the show. She's not a side character. You can even see that in the photo ops they have, where they have Obi-Wan, Anakin, and then Reva in the middle of a lot of those pictures, because she is a star in this show. She is not some side character. And that's just reality of it, which it sucks that Obi-Wan should have just got his own show without having to share it, but it is what it is. This is Disney. That's just what they do. One other thing I did really enjoy before I get into other negatives, Obi-Wan felt more like Obi-Wan in this episode. He was definitely more of General Kenobi that from the past, where it felt like it anyway. Was it perfect? No, but it was way better than what they've had him portrayed in the last couple episodes. He was a depressing old man, and of course now he's somewhat back. So I did enjoy that. That was really cool. But like I said, the issues with Vader, how he's being outsmarted, I was a little confused about how he stopped the ship from getting away with his force power, which I thought was really cool. But then there was a second ship just magically behind it, and he didn't see that or notice it. I thought that was a little wonky and out of character. Whatever. I guess that's just how it is. But again, that's what those plot holes where this opens up, right? Vader is so hell-bent on getting Obi-Wan that he's force stopping this ship from taking off. He rips it down. He rips it open with the force, and Obi-Wan gets away. But in the previous episode, when just that little bit of fire got in his way, everyone was defending this stuff, saying, oh, no, he's just toying with Obi-Wan. He enjoys the chase, this, that, and the other. No, he doesn't. It clearly shows how hell-bent he is on finding Obi-Wan. So he's not playing around. He's not just, it is what it is, right? He's hell-bent on getting him, and he's going to do whatever he can to get it. Which, again, another plot hole in the same episode, he's so hell-bent on getting Obi-Wan that he sends Reva down to the planet where they landed to make sure they don't get away. Like, in my opinion, Obi-Wan went down there, Vader went down there anyway. He should have been leading the whole thing, not Reva. But of course, Reva's got to be there. They have to push the story around. Where Obi-Wan and her are between the blast doors, and they're talking through it, which that was kind of weird. But we find out, that's where you find out where Reva was a Padawan and lived and saw that Anakin slaughtered everybody, and she played dead and all this stuff. It's just, it's tiresome. They kind of do the same thing with Leia in this episode, where a 10-year-old, right, is, I'll go up in the little vent, and the guy, right, was like, no, we don't have time, kid. We don't have time to babysit you. And Obi-Wan's like, no, you're going to listen to that 10-year-old. You're going to listen to that 10-year-old. She's 10. She's a kid. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's never been off planet before. It's so Disney of them to do this. Of course, a 10-year-old is more competent than the adult male. It is what it is. You could say what you can judge me all you want for that. It's just typical Disney crap that they do because it's a female character. All the female characters have to outshine the male characters. We see that time and time again. And I know people are going to argue, oh, well, Reva didn't outshine Vader. Well, she kind of did in a sense, right? She had the face-off of the century. We had rumors of 3 lightsaber fights. Well, one of them was apparently Reva, which I don't even consider that a lightsaber fight because Vader beat her so bad. But we should be seeing Obi-Wan doing this stuff. I don't care about her interaction with Vader. She's nothing. She doesn't matter to anybody. If you like her character, great. But in reality, this is Obi-Wan's show, not Reva's show. In title, at least. So, yeah, there was just a lot of issues with this. Why did Wade, R.I.P. Wade, didn't get that martyr death, right? Tala did. Tala had to go out with the thermal detonator. Go, run, may the force be with you. And she killed herself, blowing herself up. Wade just got hit with a battery or whatever it was, a box, and blew up. So another plot hole. Obi-Wan, it was very clear that Obi-Wan didn't know that Vader existed or knew of Vader's presence. But when they were sitting on that planet while the forces were showing up, like the stormtroopers and everything, it said, Vader's coming. He's going to kill us all. They all know who Vader is. It's very clear. No one explained to them, and I'm not saying that they know that Vader's Anakin. They know that Vader exists and that he's in the galaxy and he's this menacing fact and he's running around and he's going to kill them all. No one's asking, like, who's Vader? What is that? What are you talking about? They know. So why Obi-Wan didn't know? I know that it's supposed to be on Tatooine. No one knows anything, but everyone on Tatooine knew who the Inquisitors were, but they don't know who Vader is. It just is, again, loopholes. They could, and these are little things they could have solved, but because of such bad writing, it leaves it open for someone like me to pick at and not make sense to. And again, if you say that's nitpicky, well, I think that stuff should make sense because you could solve a lot of it in one or two lines of written dialogue or just showing off him doing something to prove that that's not the case. But whatever the case, it doesn't matter. People will always argue and say this is the best and that I'm wrong, so it is what it is. But stormtroopers are completely pointless. I don't even know why they have them anymore in Disney Star Wars. They're dumb. At least back in the day, they used to feel menacing. Here, dumb. They're just absolutely stupid. There's 80 stormtroopers. The doors open up, and they take turns firing, like one at a time. It doesn't make any sense. At least in the prequels, when the clone troopers are gunning down stormtroopers, all of them are firing at once. Here you have one or two just blasting away, and they're filing in single file. It just takes you out of it. It's like those little bitty things that just don't make sense that they do to kind of ruin logic. Like if Star Wars logic, we've seen it before. Why don't you just keep up with it? At least make them menacing. Like I said, the stormtroopers should have killed way more of these people trying to get away. That would have put a little bit more like emphasis on what's going on. So, and I did see this theory that I thought was pretty cool what they're doing. All of these episodes are replicating or kind of callbacks to all of the movies. Movie 1, 2, 3, and then, like, for example, the last episode was very similar to A New Hope, where Obi-Wan is sneaking into the Death Star and saving Leia. This episode is very similar to The Empire Strikes Back, where they land on Hoth, and they're doing that here. So we all know what's going to happen in the next episode, Return of the Jedi. Very interesting theory. I don't know if that's... I mean, it seems pretty on par with what's going on. So I thought that was kind of cool, the little throwbacks and nods. But it's also very similar to where they get their ideas from, because they can't write anything on their own. But yeah, overall, like I said, much better episode. Just very disappointing that Reva is taking up so much screen time, and we have to see this arc play out. Now, obviously, like I said, she's going to be so shoehorned in this last episode, and this should be the final duel with Obi-Wan. It should be more concentrated on Obi-Wan. But we did see Luke. That was cool. But again, the transponder, she finds a transponder, finds that broken message. So now she's going to know about Anakin's kids, I guess. I don't know. We're going to find out and see how this ends. But overall, obviously, yeah, this is a better episode, but still some major, major plot holes. And again, my issue is we should have seen more flashbacks with Hayden Christensen's Anakin, and that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see how that all ties together. In this, we just got a lot of Reva and her screaming. We see that con man show up? Like, how did he get there? Why is he here? He should have been gone, but he's a big actor, so we had to give him a more important role in the show. I don't know. It's just very goofy. But overall, better episode, but still the series is just kind of messy and all over the place. But let me know what you thought about the episode. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think I'm dumb? Do you think I'm on par? The comments are always great, but I do love to hear what you think, as long as you're respectful in some way, I guess. But let me know what you think below in the comments. I always love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. I would appreciate that as well. So until next time, take care.